In this segment, we're going to talk about sequence control and using the auto sequence control tool, which is found here at the bottom of the left-hand toolbar. Now, before we can use it, we're going to need to create some embroidery objects. So I'm going to go ahead and create 1, 2, 3, 4 new objects. And just to be sure I know which one is which, I'm going to set this one to be a yellow fill with a blue outline. We'll have this one be a green fill with a blue outline. This one will be a pink fill with a blue outline, and the first one I made is just a red fill with a blue outline. So we've got 4 objects, and you can see here that they're all in my sequence manager. This is the sequence view. This is your sequence view here, and you can see they're all shown in one tray. Now, I guess some of the things you can do, you can hide this tray by just zipping it up, or expand it again. You can close it if you want to, gets rid of it, and then you can turn it back on under your view, toolbars, and then it's called your sequence manager. And sequence manager, under the view, sequence manager. Anyway, so now what I wanted to show is when you choose the auto sequence control, we're given 3 options. The first one is nothing, leave the design as is. Second one is simple, just rearrange the objects. And the third one is advanced, rearrange and modify objects if needed. So let's just show all 3. We'll start with the first one, which is nothing, and say OK. And you can see here that it basically reorganized my objects in each one in its own tray, and they're in the order that I created them. So the red one, then the blue one, then the green one, then the pink one. Now, if I wanted the red one to sew after the yellow one, I could click this tray and just drag it, move it up. So I have the ability to manually control the sequence in my sequence manager here. And by the way, when you look at the sequence view, it's showing each object in relationship to its size in relationship to the whole design. But if you click on this object, this icon here, it will make each object the largest size that it can be in that sequence manager. So it's 2 different ways of viewing the sequence manager, your sequence toolbar here. Now, so let's go back and just try it again. So maybe what I'll do is just turn off the auto sequence control. And this time we'll try doing it again, but we'll use simple as the option. So we'll go simple, and then now we can see that basically it rearranged the sewing order based upon the optimization strategy. And the optimization strategy is something that we have the ability to affect, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But at the moment I can see it did the green, then the red, then it did the pink, and then it did the yellow, and I believe it's using the strategy of largest to smallest as its strategy. But like I said, we'll look at that again in a moment. So that was the middle option, and again, I can just turn it off by clicking back on the tool, puts everything back on 1. And this time when I run it, we'll choose to run the advanced option, and I'll say OK. And now you can see that what it's done is it's applied, maybe if I hide my thread palette, that'll help see the whole thing here. So the first color is the green, then the red, then the pink, then the yellow, but this time it's broken up and put all the blue outlines afterwards so that it sews all the fills, then all the outlines. So that's the automatic sequence control. But like I said, we would have the ability, if we said, well, really I didn't want that, I want to put this back here or whatever. So we can always manually control it later, but the auto sequence control is our way to sort of have the computer do it for us. Now, I'd said there's an optimization strategy, and basically if you look under the tools drop-down menu, you can see your optimizer options, and this is where you're going to have the ability to change some of the things that affect the way the auto sequence control works, like the optimization strategy, large to small, or we have other options that you could control, things like the return to start center of the frame and whatnot. So these are things that we're going to want to study to really understand fully how they work. And what I would suggest might be a great way to do that is, again, with the help menu, because it's quite a technical thing, and if you were wanting to, you could read. So if I turn that show help on, click on the auto sequence control tool, it gives me the option of auto embroidery sequence or manual embroidery sequence, and if I click on one of these, it gives me additional options. So your sequence tool, your sequence manager, and we can learn about the optimization tool in here. So basically everything to do with creating and automatically creating your embroidery sequence is going to be talked about in the online manual, but in general, in simple terms, this is how it works. And basically, it's very important to be able to control your embroidery sequence, and especially if you're creating automatic embroidery designs. Maybe sometimes the way this software has interpreted the artwork, and there's an area that's filled and outlined, and maybe the software decided to do the outline first and then put the fill on top, and you want to rearrange that. So this is your ability to do that. So you can change the sewing sequence based upon your sequence manager and your sequence view.